Let's go Mets, baby! Let's go Yankees!
This is the battle for New York.
On Sunday Night Baseball.
Sunday at 7 Eastern on ESPN. Telecast presented by Taco Bell.
First Take, Her Take, the podcast.
Have you guys ever been busted for cheating? This is a Rorschach test, too, to see where you go. Do you go cheating on a test or do you go cheating on a person, by the way?
Oh, I went to test. Where did you go?
Okay, Okay, good. I'm just making sure.
Oh, please. You guys have never cheated. Are you joking?
Okay, I have.
No, I was trying to think if I got caught.
First Take, Her Take, the podcast. Listen and subscribe.
WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio. We're live. We're local.
What are you gonna miss? He struck him up.
We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
Happy Friday, everybody. I'm excited. We are heading into a 3-day weekend, and I tell you what, happy Friday, everybody. And it was depressing when I walked outside earlier. You want to know why?
What's up?
There's a weird crisp in the air today. A little, like, it's not chilly, but, like, you ever walk outside and sometimes the temperature or just the way something looks or feels, it kind of takes you to, it feels like fall. It feels like I should be walking out to head to watch Centerville High School football or to watch Wayne or Trotwood. I feel like we should be, getting ready to talk about the Buckeyes kicking off tomorrow or something like. So the reason I say that's depressing is because it's July, but it's July. It's only July 2nd. We're still a little bit away from that, but we can at least say, hey, football starts next month. We're getting closer and closer, but it's still just it's too early in July for me to feel that way. I need to, I just need to know that we're closer than what we are. But you know what? It's not a big deal. It's been a good week. I've had a good
awesome
week. Looking forward to this weekend. Beautiful weather ahead. I actually get to go out and golf. It's been crappy weather over the last 2 weeks. Get back on the golf course, going to the lake. I'm pumped. But we got to get to these next 3 hours
Absolutely.
first. We talked with ESPN's Mike Golick Jr. earlier today. We were just kind of talking about our interview that we're going to be having coming up. He's in a mood, so I'm looking forward to that. He's in a good mood. We're going to be chatting with him coming up here on about half hour, 45 minutes or so. We'll have that interview coming up your way. But I want to open up with this. The Cincinnati Reds avoid the sweep last night. If they would have lost last night, Kev, they would have been 9 games back, and I would have been done. And I really felt like that's where this was going. Now, they're 8 games back. It's not like I feel comfortable about the 8, but my goodness, if Milwaukee wins, you better be winning to at least keep your spot in line. There's nothing worse than, hey, will you hold my spot? I forgot something. Then you come back, there's 3 or 4 people that are in front of you. That's what the Reds do sometimes. It's like, hey, will you hold my spot? I got to take the night off real quick. No, there is no nights off. You stay in line. You got to, it is what it is. But the Reds won last night in dramatic fashion, 5-4 in walk-off fashion. Here's the call from last night's finish to the Reds' 5-4 win. How about Tyler Stevens? I mean, for one, Kyle Farmer homering in the bottom of the 9th to tie it at 4. And then, of course, the walk-off victory thanks to Tyler Stevenson. How about that? Here's the radio call. Here's Tommy Thrall.
So it's the rookie, Tyler Stevenson, with the bases loaded. Swinging a line drive to right. That's down. Base hit into the corner. Here comes India, and the Reds walk off over the Padres 5-4.
5-4. I like that. I love Tommy Thrall. I think he has done a fantastic job. We say that all the time, but I mean it. I love listening to him call games. Him and the Cowboy kill it. The Reds are very fortunate for the TV and the radio crews that they have. And no, we're not just saying that because we're affiliates. If you've listened to the show and listened to me long enough, I don't play that ass-kissing game. It just is what it is. So, but I really do. I'm a big fan of Tommy Thrall. I think he's killed it. But the Reds killed it last night to avoid the sweep against the Padres. That is their one and only win over the Padres this season. And it looked as if that wasn't going to be the case. How about last night? You look at Luis Castillo, by the way, dominant start, and then the rain just absolutely comes pouring in. It was a monsoon.
Sideways.
I looked at the radar, and it was just one little tiny cell that was sitting on top of Great American Ballpark. Luis Castillo could have probably gone 7 into that game. Now, it all doesn't matter. Forget it. You know what? The Reds won. That is all that matters because with the margin of error being so thin for them, the fact that they were able to overcome that, that's all you can do is just sit there and feel good about the win. The Reds kick off a series with the Cubs tonight, 7:10 the first pitch, 6:40 the pregame. That'll be coming up later on tonight immediately following our show. So there's that. But Sonny Gray, back on the mound for the Reds, which is big. You get a big start from Luis Castillo last night. Doesn't come away with the win, but the Reds do. That's what's most important. And the Cubs just got beat up by the Brewers a little bit. The Brewers have separated themselves in the NL Central. I mean, we talked about them being 8 games ahead of the Cincinnati Reds, but they're 6.5 games ahead of the Chicago Cubs. And if the Reds play their cards right, and speaking of the Cards, they're 9 games back. They're actually ahead of the Cardinals in the NL Central standings. If the Reds play their cards right and at least take 2 or 3 from the Cubs, they could be in second place in the NL Central. They'll still be a good chunk of games back, but again, I'd rather be chasing one team than have to chase 3 or 4. But it starts with the Cubs here tonight. 3-game series at Great American Ballpark. Reds got to take care of business. Sonny Gray on the mound. I like those chances right there. I'm Justin Kinner. He's Kev Nash. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. And the Reds came away with one heck of a win last night. Got to feel good about that. Got to feel good about any win that they come away with. And they're back up above 500. And that's all you can ask for. Actually, they're back up to 500. I'm sorry, but you know what? I'll take it. 40-40, 80 games in. I mean,
they're a 500 baseball team.
That's what they're going to be moving forward. But the problem is, it's the Brewers. They're screwing this all up. The Brewers aren't supposed to be this good. I mean, the Brewers right now, they're 16 games above 500.
Crazy.
Like, the Cubs are who we thought they were. A 500 ball club as well. They're 42-39. The Cardinals are who we thought. Well, Cardinals are at 40-42, but they're roughly playing the same type of ball that the Reds and the Cubs are playing. Pirates are where we thought they would be. But we knew that this NL Central, I'm not saying it's the toughest division in baseball, not even close, actually. I don't even think it's a very good division, but it's a very, how would you word that? All the teams are very
evenly matched.
Even.
Yeah.
I mean, they all have deficiencies. There's not, I think that the Brewers right now, I don't know if it's fair to put them in that category. They're 49-33. They're going to be close to 50 plus. They're going to be 50 plus wins heading into the All-Star break. They're setting up for a 100-win season. That's very good. I don't think anyone expected that from the Brewers. I knew that their roster was good. Council has done a fantastic job. Got to give credit where credit's due. But they're plus 35 in run differential. They have won 9 straight, Kev, since the Reds swept the Brewers. I mean, the Reds follow up the sweep at the Brewers with being swept by the Padres, and then the Brewers go on a 9-game win streak. They're plus 35 run differential. They're 9-1 in their last 10. That's why this stretch of games coming up. 3 against the Cubs at Great American Ballpark. Then they hit the road for 3 at Kansas City, and then 3 at Milwaukee before the All-Star break. So the Reds can make up some ground coming up. So this is a big stretch. I'm excited for tonight's game. That is for sure. We're on Facebook Live, so head to Facebook, search the Justin Kinner Show. Like and follow along there. Keith Tolliver, he says he's a Cards fan, but definitely agree that the Reds radio broadcast is phenomenal. We appreciate any compliments from any outside fan bases. So there you go. But no, I really do think that. I'm not just saying that because we're the Reds on Radio affiliate or anything along those lines. I think Tommy has crushed it. I've told you that story about him. He was with the Pensacola Wahoos, which at the time was a affiliate of the Cincinnati Reds. Mm-hmm. We saw the reshuffling of everything. The Wahoos were no longer an affiliate to the Reds. And then Tommy Thrall gets a call that he had been let go, and he'd been with the Wahoos for a while, and he was just kind of, down in the dumps. He was just kind of like, oh man, now what do I do? And the next thing you know, he's getting a call to come be one of the voices of the Cincinnati Reds. His first season with the Reds was Marty's last season, so he got to work alongside Marty for 1 year before getting the keys to the car during the COVID season. And then this year, of course, COVID's gone now. So now he's off and rolling. But shout out to Tommy Thrall for that. But last night was huge. Go ahead and give us some baseball music. Last night was huge. It was huge for a lot of reasons. I hate that the Reds are 8 games back. The reason I'm so glad that they got the win last night is because this team needs to continue to feel a jolt of energy. They need a fight in them. And the fight is that this team just has too much talent for them to be, for one, 8 games back in this division. But that just speaks about how well the Brewers are playing at this point. But 2, the Reds have 2 starters in the All-Star game. Jesse Winker and, of course, none other than Nick Castellanos. Jesse Winker last night, you could hear the emotion. He was literally in tears in the press conference. We'll kill the music that I just told you to start, so that's totally on me. But last night it was announced that, you got to think Mookie Betts. There's so many big-name outfielders in the National League. And for the Reds to not just get 1 starting outfielder in there, but to get 2, Holy smokes. Jesse Winker, Nick Castellanos, and Ronald Acuna Jr. are your National League outfielders for the All-Star game here in a few weeks. But take a listen to Jesse Winker's emotion, how choked up he is. I was coming into the season not a Jesse Winker fan. I've been a fan of Jesse Winker's play through the first half, and in hearing how much he loves the Reds, he loves the fans, and how much he loves the game, I don't think that I'm right up there with some of the biggest Jesse Winker fans out there. Take a listen.
Getting to represent the city of Cincinnati is something that I hold with a lot of pride. There's been a lot of people before me that have been named All-Stars, and to kind of just fall in line and get to go, it's a huge honor for me. And I know I'm crying again, but like, it's a dream come true. So I'm just thankful for everybody. It's cool that, I think to get there, for me and Nick to get there, we're a smaller market team. So I think a lot of people had to vote for us. So I think this is a great time to thank everybody. So thank you to everybody. There's a lot of people I need to sit up here and thank. We'd probably be here for the next hour. But I really want to thank my teammates and my family and my little girl at home, my daughter. So thank you.
Great stuff there. For one, my big thing sometimes when it comes to professional athletes is because we talk so much about contracts and money and sitting out. And I shouldn't say that making big money and sitting out means that you don't care about playing. But it's like in football, we talk more about players threatening to sit out or not wanting to play until they get what they want. And it happens in baseball. It happens in every sport. But we talk so much about athletes doing that too much to the point to where we forget about just the passion that they have for the game. And seeing that and hearing that emotion in his voice, man, that was cool. It's badass that Nick Castellanos is a starting outfielder for the Reds in the All-Star game. But again, I think this goes back to our conversation the other day about if you could only pick one moving forward to give a max deal to, who do you pay? I said Nick Castellanos, but I think you could just hear it, the emotion in his voice last night, that Jesse Winker's just different because he's been a Red since the beginning. They drafted him. They developed him. He debuted with the Reds back in 2017. There were some deficiencies within his game, but there's no secret that he could put the bat on the ball. And this year it's all come together. Defensively, too, he used to be a horrible defensive player. I'm not saying he's great now, but he's fixed that. Guys that work on their game and improve, and you can see him making those leaps each and every year. You got to respect and love those guys. That's Jesse Winker. Jesse Winker, Kev, okay, and Nick Castellanos, along with Ronald Acuna Jr. Listen to the names, and I love that Jesse Winker brought this up. And I'm so glad that he had, that they looked at it this way too. It's an honor when you're a Red to be voted as a starter at any position because it's a smaller market team. Mm-hmm. I know people don't like to buy into that. So, I like to bring up the fact that they're $1 billion, organization and all that, but they're a small market team, which means the fan base. I'm talking about Cincinnati, Ohio, a fan base that is delegated towards Cincinnati, Ohio versus Los Angeles. So Mookie Betts comes in fourth. He got 13% of the votes. He just fell short of being a starter. And I thought he was going to get it because he came kind of moving up them charts pretty quickly. So the fact that Jesse Winker beat out Mookie Betts from the Dodgers, Jock Peterson from the Cubs, Bryce Harper from the Phillies. Listen to these names. And that Nick Castellanos, I think he's been around the block a little bit longer. He's a few years older than Winker, so it doesn't surprise me that he edged out those guys. But Winker went from a guy last year that you couldn't keep in the lineup on any given night because of matchups to all of a sudden beating out Mookie Betts and Bryce Harper to be a starter for the National League. Man, good for him, good for the Reds. And I just hope Castellanos, see that emotion, see that, and see the fans. For them to get the fans, of course, celebrated the walk-off win last night, but then just the round of applause that they gave to both Castellanos and Winker walking off, you could tell these fans want a winner. And we say this too many times. Man, the fans deserve it. They deserve it. They need to improve this bullpen because the fans deserve it. Forget the fans for a moment. Those guys deserve it. They're the one, fans get mad because, the thing is, the Reds are usually done by April. We've moved on to our Bengals. We've moved on to our Browns. We're focusing on the countdown to kickoff for the Buckeyes. You know who doesn't get to move on to the Bengals and Browns and Buckeyes and other teams? The players who they're dead and buried by the end of April, but they still have to go out there and practice and play and travel and deal with the boos and deal with the losing for all of May, all of June, all of July, all of August, all of September, and then go home and have to watch the playoffs and be reminded about how those teams look compared to theirs. and sit there and bask in the uncomfortableness of knowing the work ahead of them. So I think that emotion from Jesse Winker was so great because he's been a part of all the losing over the last few years. He's seen the Reds at the bottom of the bottom, firing Brian Price, bringing in David Bell, getting some bigger names to come in like Yasiel Puig and others, and watching Trevor Bauer come in and watching the team struggle. There's been so many struggles for this organization, and for him to break through the way he has, and the Reds are still a 500 ball club this year, and they're in the hunt. I think it's just all the emotions at once of, yes, an individual accomplishment for him, Kev, but doing it within the team realm. And I'm a huge Winker fan, man. I've changed so much in the last year. All my opinions from a year ago, maybe just having to be at home more and sit there and think more, not be able to go out as much. I've had time to rethink a lot of my takes on things. But I've totally reversed my feelings on Jesse Winker, not just because he's playing well now, but that press conference, that reaction last night got me. I was like, that's cool. Those are the emotions I love to see. Like Kevin Durant's MVP, like with his mom. That's why I hate that he's had so many weird situations since then that have made him unlikable, because I thought that made him the most popular player in the NBA when he did that. My mom's the real MVP. Like everyone can relate to that, right? Mm-hmm. And then he makes the fake burner account, and then he starts saying weird things. And, it is what it is. But I'm a big fan, Jesse Winker, big fan of the Reds. Yes, the fans deserve a winner, but these players deserve it. I hope the Castellinis look at this and say, okay, we got something here, because Winker's not going anywhere unless you trade him, but he's not going anywhere. He's going to remain this good moving forward, hopefully. Imagine if Suarez, Kev, was playing like Suarez. Like, that's the thing.
How many more wins?
How many more wins? What do you mean?
How many more wins if he's playing up to snuff?
I mean, we're talking about, right now, the unfortunate part is they're not losing because of lack of offensive production, but maybe 3 or 4, which is a big deal when you're 8 games back. So it's only 3 or 4, but 4 more wins. I mean, that could be a huge difference right there. I mean, you could maybe be down 6 to 5 games as opposed to 8, which that is a huge deal. Their problems are stemming from the pitching, obviously, but Kev, the Reds they're not capitalizing on this offense that you're getting a breakout year from Jesse Winker. Castellanos picking up where he left off a year ago. Joey Votto's been phenomenal since coming back from the IL. I mean, this last couple weeks stretch for him, I mean, my goodness, he's looked like Joey Votto of old. And then you have Jonathan India and Tyler Stevenson, the emergence of these young stars that the Reds have been waiting for years now. Seeing them hit the scene and hit the ground running, good for the Reds. They have everything going right now from an offensive standpoint, but they have to turn that focus to the pitching, because that's what's going to keep him out of the playoffs, or that's what's going to put him in the playoffs. The hitting, you just got to assume that's going to remain the same, because that's been their identity the last 2 years. Even though last year they struggled offensively, we knew what they were capable of. This is what we were expecting last year. Pitching is going to be what makes or breaks them. If they get the pitching at the deadline, Kev, they're fine. If they don't, I mean, they're going to be a good hitting team, a fun team. They're going to be in a lot of games, but it's going to be a lot of heartbreak for the final 80-plus games of the season. That's for sure. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Kev, Scott Campbell on YouTube says, how about them Red Legs last night? Let's go Reds. One more time, play the Tommy Thrall call. The Reds win in walk-off fashion, 5-4 off of Tyler Stevenson's walk-off hit in the bottom of the ninth.
So it's the rookie, Tyler Stevenson, with the bases loaded. Swinging a line drive to right. That's down. Base hit into the corner. Here comes India, and the Reds walk off over the Padres, 5-4.
5-4 the final. The Reds improved to 40-40 on the season. They remain 8 games back in the division, but a loss last night would have put them at 9 games back, and you don't want to be continued to bury yourself, as we're just a few weeks away from the All-Star break. The Reds need to do some damage control, and that was a huge break last night for the Reds. So we talked about it. On the other side, we'll take a look at the remainder of the starters for the National League and the American League. Nick Castellanos, Jesse Winker, Ronald Acuna Jr. wrap up your outfielders, your starting outfielders for the National League. But what about the rest of the roster? We'll take a look at the National League and the American League starters for the All-Star game coming up here from Colorado in a few weeks. That's on the other side. We'll also chat with ESPN Radio's Mike Golick Jr. Coming up here about a half hour from now. So a lot coming your way here on a Friday as we head into the 4th of July weekend. Don't go anywhere. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather. This afternoon will be partly cloudy, a high near 78. Tonight will be mainly clear, a low near 56. And tomorrow will be clear and sunny, a high near 82. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
It's time for some straight talk. We've all been there. You have some real work to do, but the free Wi-Fi where you're working isn't going to cut it. It's like leaving the winning runner stranded on third base. Not good. Well, now you can be your own hotspot with Straight Talk's ultimate unlimited plan. Get 10 gigs of hotspot data for just $55 a month. All on America's largest, most dependable networks. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise. Compatible device required. See straighttalk.com.
It's Macy's July 4th sale with our lowest prices of the season on summer updates for your home, like 20 to 50% off outdoor furniture and the Radley 5-piece sectional chaise sofa, $1,999. And get a free adjustable base or box spring with qualifying mattress purchase. Plus, Macy's Star Rewards members earn on every purchase except gift cards, services, and fees. Sign up today at Macys.com/Star Rewards. Savings off sale and clearance prices. Exclusions apply.
From shredding to printing, the UPS store has every ing for small business. And on July 5th, when the other guys are closing, we're doing another ing all together, opening. So while we're busy notarizing and copying, consulting and mailboxing, packing and shipping, well, they're not really doing much of any ing. Open July 5th, the UPS store. Every ing for small business, all in one place.
The UPS store.
The UPS store franchise locations are independently owned and operated. Services, pricing, and hours may vary. See Center for details.
Power your passions for less during Dell's exceptional Black Friday in July event. Enjoy up to $400 off high-performance Dell XPS laptops and desktops, along with next-level Alienware systems, all powered by Intel Core processors. Shop special prices on stunning Dell monitors, top brand electronics and accessories, plus enjoy free shipping on everything. Don't forget to ask for Intel when you call 800-BY-DELL. That's 800-BY-DELL.
You'll never believe it. I mean, I hardly could. Kohl's has epic deals right now, and they're going to make for an epic 4th of July. I got the cutest $6.99 Americana tees, $19.99 tech gear shorts for me, and Toastmaster kitchen gadgets for less than $10. I even got Kohl's Cash and picked up my order in less than an hour. So yeah, cue the fireworks, because these savings are definitely worth celebrating.
Select style sale ends July 4th. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Milano's Pizza Subs and Taps is celebrating the sunshine with a bunch of fresh new menu choices, from pizzas to salads to subs. See all the creative flavors in store for you right now at milanosubs.com.
I absolutely love my dog, but the constant shedding, not so much. But then I got a Swiffer Sweeper Pet Kit, and it is amazing. These super thick cloths pick up a crazy amount of hair. Just look at all that. And that was from just one swipe. And the best part, Sweeper's so much easier to maneuver than a broom or a vacuum, easily getting around chairs and under the couch. You're right. Now I can focus on you, not your shedding. Swiffer Sweeper Pet Kit, because shed happens.
Welcome guests back in with 4th of July savings at Lowe's. Get Valspar Signature Interior Paint and Primer starting at $32.98 per gallon. And with appliance savings today and every day, save up to $750 now on select major appliances. The summer savings continue this July 4th. So stop at Lowe's or buy online and pick up in store. Lowe's, home to any budget, home to any possibility. Paint pricing valid through 7/7/21. In-store must ask cashier to apply coupon. Savings vary based on purchase amount. Can't be combined with additional discounts. Exclusions apply. Valid through 7/14.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. What are you working on today? You could be helping us help customers. June is National Hiring Month, and we're hiring thousands of new AutoZoners to fill manager roles, driver spots, warehouse jobs, and sales team positions. More than half of AutoZone store managers are promoted from within. With more than 7,000 new management opportunities every year, AutoZone provides opportunity to drive your career. Apply today at careers.autozone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. It's time for some straight talk. We've all been there. You have some real work to do, but the free Wi-Fi where you're working isn't going to cut it. It's like leaving the winning runner stranded on third base. Not good. Well, now you can be your own hotspot with Straight Talk's ultimate unlimited plan. Get 10 gigs of hotspot data for just $55 a month. All on America's largest, most dependable networks. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise. Compatible device required. See straighttalk.com.
Everything you want to hear is on Audible. Stream the bestsellers and the newest hot releases, and stream originals and podcasts too. Sign up for a free trial at audible.com.
At Lowe's, we think July 4th reunions are better with a little flair. Get select 2.5 quart red, white, and blue annuals, 3 for $12, and select bagged mulch at our new lower price, starting at $2.88 per bag. Make your home look festive today. The summer savings continue this July 4th, so stop by Lowe's in-store or online. Lowe's, home to any budget, home to any possibility. While supplies last, annuals offer in-store only. Actual plant size, selection, and product availability varies by location. Valid 6/24 through 7/7. U.S. only. Excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
If the pandemic's taught us anything, it's that the easiest way for germs to get into your body is the nose. Navage uses powered suction to flush out allergens, mucus, and germs that cause congestion, colds, and flu, so you can breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and feel healthier. Experience Navage at zero risk. Go to Navage.com, buy Navage, and use it for a month. If you're not delighted, return it for a full refund. There's nothing to lose and a lifetime of better breathing to gain. Navage, Navage.
Welcome guests back in with 4th of July savings at Lowe's. Get Valspar Signature Interior Paint and Primer starting at $32.98 per gallon. And with appliance savings today and every day, save up to $750 now on select major appliances. The summer savings continue this July 4th. So stop at Lowe's or buy online and pick up in store. Lowe's, home to any budget, home to any possibility. Paint pricing valid through 7/7/21. In-store must ask cashier to apply coupon. Savings vary based on purchase amount. Can't be combined with additional discounts. Exclusions apply. Valid through 7/14.
Do you struggle with occasional nerve aches, weakness, or discomfort in your hands or feet? Try Nervive Nerve Relief from the world's #1 selling nerve care company. Nervive contains alpha-lipoic acid to relieve nerve aches, weakness, and discomfort, and B-complex vitamins to support healthy nerve function as you age. Live your life with less nerve discomfort with Nervive Nerve Relief. Learn more at nervivehealth.com.
Don't miss the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Fire Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Happy Friday. About to head into the 4th of July weekend. We'll be off on Monday. Just a reminder as far as the programming note's concerned, but what we will not be off of is Reds baseball. Lots of Reds baseball coming up this weekend. 3-game series with the Cubs starting tonight. Sonny Gray is going to be on the mound for your Cincinnati Reds. The Reds get a big walk-off win last night. Tyler Stevenson with the walk-off win. We had the call for you earlier. No, we're good, Kev. We're good. Your fingers going to get tired. We still got 2 more out. We got 2.5 more hours of this show. You're going to get worn out over there. But no, nonetheless, what a call last night from Tommy Thaw. Tyler Stevenson, walk-off single to right. Bottom of the ninth, of course, to bring in the winning run. And you know what? I mean, look, that's who the Reds are. They don't give up. They're scrappy. 40-40 on the season, though. I said they'd be about an 80 to 85 win team when the season started. That's 500. That's about that's who they are right now. But that's the thing, though. Like they could be a lot better than that. Like if they have a bullpen, I mean, how many games have they blown? Like that's the thing. How many games has that bullpen blown? I mean, the last number I heard is the number was at 13, where they had a lead in the 8th inning, and they've lost those games. I mean, you win half of those, Kev. You win half of those, and you're sitting with the Brewers record right now, 16 games above 500. Maybe let's just say even 10 games above 500 is a much different tale than what the tape is telling right now for the Cincinnati Reds. But nonetheless, last night, the starters were revealed for both the American League and the National League, the All-Star game. And here's your starters for the National League: Buster Posey, the starting catcher for the Giants, one of the older players on this roster. Freddie Freeman with the Braves at first base. Adam Frazier at second base with the Pirates. How about the Pirates getting a starter in there? One of the worst teams in baseball. Nolan Arenado with the Cardinals. He's getting the start at third. And Fernando Tatis Jr. We've seen enough of him, but I want to see more of him. I mean, my gosh, so young and so damn good. Baseball's in good hands. Baseball's in really good hands moving forward. And I just think the stars, the younger stars now, like the Winkers, and if Castellanos is going into that, then more power to him as well. He's 29, but I've never been a big Trout guy. I don't know why. It's not that I dislike him, but he's never moved the needle for me. I've never once felt Mike Trout's in town. I got to get to Great American Ballpark. Oh, the Angels are on TV. I got to watch. Ohtani is the draw.
Right.
I'm a huge Ohtani fan. What that dude's doing is actually, I don't think we talk about it enough, probably the most dominant sports season we've seen from an individual ever when you consider what he's doing, not just dominating with the bat in his hand, but with the glove and the ball in his hand as well. One of the best pitchers in baseball, one of the best hitters in baseball. Unbelievable stuff. Got distracted. So one more time, your outfielders for the National League: Nick Castellanos, Jesse Winker, Ronald Acuña Jr. At shortstop, you have Fernando Tatis Jr. from the Padres, Nolan Arenado at third from the Cardinals, Adam Frazier from the Pirates at second base, and then you have Freddie Freeman and Buster Posey. Freddie Freeman at first and Buster Posey as the catcher. Here's the lineup, I should say. Here's the starters for the American League. Salvador Perez with the Royals will be the catcher. At first base, Vlad Guerrero Jr. My goodness, his dad was really, really good.
Yeah.
We and you talked a while back about doing the topic about what are some things in sports today that make you feel old.
Yeah.
Vlad Guerrero was one of the guys I watched growing up. I'm 31. I don't know why I had to think about that. I'm 31. Vlad Guerrero was one of the guys I remember watching growing up, like one of the stars. And now his son is the starting first baseman for the American League in the All-Star game for the Blue Jays. He's an unbelievable talent as well. Yeah. Marcus Semien with the Blue Jays at second base. Rafael Devers with the Red Sox at third. Xander Bogaerts with the Red Sox at shortstop. And then Aaron Judge, Mike Trout, and Shohei Ohtani. So Mike Trout's been out forever. But the designated hitter is Ohtani. So there you go.
But also you got to think about in the All-Star game in baseball, the rule about having one representative from each team in the Major League Baseball game and a fan vote. So I get a little iffy about baseball and the All-Star game and everything like that because they force a player on a team that may not be even any good. I mean, you just talked about it with the Pirates or whatever. Got the worst record in baseball. Look at the Yankees. They're probably going to have two players in as well, and they've been terrible this season and because of the fan vote and things like that. So, I'm all here for the All-Star game. I just wish it was like a better way to do it, to really give the stars and the guys that are playing well a lot of love and everything like that.
Well, look, the reason I won't go there with the All-Star game is because I refuse to hold the All-Star game to a higher standard than what baseball holds its actual product to. And what I mean is to do this whole everyone, it needs to be fair to have a representative from each team in the All-Star game, but yet you will go years without seeing certain stars in every ballpark on any given stretch. Like the fact that I don't know when, it could be another 2 or 3 years. I forgot how the scheduling operates with that, but it could be another 2 or 3 years before we ever see Mike Trout at Great American Ballpark.
Terrible.
That's why when Justin Verlander with the Astros 2 years ago, not last year because of COVID, but 2020 or 2019, I was like, I got to go. This will be the last time I probably ever get to watch Justin Verlander pitch. And it most likely is. And he probably has another 2 or 3 good years left, right? So I just think that that's wrong. So that's why I don't get too caught up in how baseball handles their All-Star game, because I would be offended if they held that to a higher standard than their product. And sometimes they do. I still think it's wrong. The fact that all these All-Stars, especially on the American League side, like Bogaerts and some of these guys, I don't watch Red Sox. I don't watch the Red Sox. I don't watch a lot of these teams. For one, I watch a ton of the NL Central teams because I want to know who the Reds competition is, because that's mainly what's most important. Watch a lot of National League teams. But the fact that Aaron Judge, who knows when he'll step foot in Great American Ballpark again? Who knows when we'll see Shohei Ohtani, who is the biggest star in baseball right now, as far as for some you've never heard of him, for others you're about to hear and see a ton of him. The fact that Reds fans at Great American Ballpark, who knows when we'll ever get to see him, that's a problem. We know every year. If you're a Pacers fan, every year, even if it's just one game, you're going to get to watch LeBron, or at least have a chance to. Oh, he's injured tonight. Well, it's okay. They'll be back next year. Oh, the Yankees are finally in town and Judge is hurt. Man, hopefully he's still in the Yankees in 4 years when they come back. That's a problem. I've been complaining about that for years. It'll never change. But I just think that that's an issue, a big one at that.
You would know better than me, because they don't still... Yeah, that's not happening anymore. Like the winner of the All-Star game gets home field advantage in the World Series.
I actually think it is. And folks, for those of you watching on Facebook, YouTube, chime in and help us out. What is up for grabs in this All-Star game? Is it just the cash reward? I still think it's maybe not. Maybe they did take that out.
I think they did.
But no,
you would figure we would know since we.
When you said well, you might know better than me. I hate when you do that to me because I think I'm 0 for 3. You've done that 3 times, and every time I'm like, oh well, gee, by golly, I don't know. But there you go. All-Star game set for July 13th. Major League Baseball again. They announced who the starters were last night, and they'll announce who will be the representative of the. We'll find out who the reserves are here, not in the near future as far as that's concerned. So looking forward to that. But shout out to the Reds, Jesse Winker and Nick Castellanos, 2 Reds being voted in. Again, what I can't get over is when you look at the fact that Bryce Harper, Jock Peterson, Mookie Betts, look at Chris Taylor, even with the Dodgers. Look at these names. Look at these. Even the Giants. The Giants, one of the best teams, if not the best team in baseball right now. The roster's not the sexiest, but my goodness, there's talent all up and down, and guys having great seasons. Good for them. Good for the Reds, and good for Jesse Winker, Nick Castellanos. I don't get how that happens. Not a lot of people are watching Reds baseball. You know what I mean? And I don't get how it happens. But the fans they got it right.
Right.
Winker and Castellanos their numbers are better than everybody else's, so they did get it right. So I know what you said. Sometimes the fan vote can make it a little iffy. Sometimes I would agree with you if you didn't just have 2 Cincinnati Reds just basically get outvoted by. They got votes more than a Cubs player, a Phillies player, Bryce Harper at that, and 2 Dodgers players. So I think that's pretty impressive.
You're not a Bryce Harper dude, are you?
I think he's overrated. I think his numbers are okay, but I know in baseball it's tough for one player to lead an organization to wins, but at the same time, I don't get how the Nationals, you lose your best player and win a World Series the next year. And then that best player goes to a team that also loads up on talent and that they don't even make the playoffs. I'm not saying it's his fault, but it is kind of strange that he doesn't seem to, for being one of the big names in baseball, he doesn't bring a winning attitude into a clubhouse and all of a sudden change the fortune. Look at Chris Paul with the Suns. Is he one of the best point guards in the NBA from a skill standpoint? No. But my God, he walks into a locker room and you take a team that was a Verge bubble team last year to the finals this year. There's no Chris Paul type, stuff.
Can you do that in baseball though? Because you really can't control so much of the game. If you're an outfielder, you can only hit the ball that comes to you. But in basketball, you can have a direct impact on the game every single possession, not only on the offensive end but the defensive end. And in baseball, if they don't want you to hit, you can't hit. I just remember in the World Series that the San Francisco Giants went to with Barry Bonds, they decided he's not hitting the entire series. I want to say in game 1, I think it was game 1, he hit a home run. And then after that, they said, you're not touching the ball. We're going to walk you every single time for the rest of the series. Barry Bonds basically walked the entire series. And you can't do that in basketball. Eventually, you're going to have to come guard me, or I'm going to have to come guard.
But putting him on base too, a home run automatically becomes 2 runs now. So it is having an impact there, and it's a mental edge thing. It's, again, baseball's more mental than anything else. But look at the Buccaneers with Tom Brady. Yes, the roster was improved from one year to the next, but if you take Tom,
you're talking about those intangibles.
Yeah,
like Derek Jeter.
Yeah, Derek Jeter was never the best shortstop in baseball, but my goodness, you still think of him as one of the best of all time, and rightfully so. But there's better skilled shortstops out there, even with him in his prime. So those intangibles, that's a good term to use right there. That's just, I don't think he has that. Bryce Harper does not have that. I've argued that Votto doesn't have that. And I think that sometimes that's important. I think Votto has increased that as he's gotten older, but I've always thought that it's interesting. Why overpay? I'll never understand why position players get paid as much as they do in baseball. To your point, what impact do they actually have? Bryce Harper gets paid $350 million or whatever it was to leave Washington to go to the Nationals. And the team he leaves wins the World Series, and the team he goes to doesn't even make the playoffs. LeBron James leaves the Cleveland Cavaliers. That organization crumbles. Mm-hmm. All right, so how can you say, oh, that was our best player, and then you leave and you win a championship without him? That doesn't happen in football. That doesn't happen in basketball. So I'm going against my point and proving more of your point to a certain extent. But my goodness, I guess I'm trying to say the same thing as you, almost in the regards to how good are these guys?
I think they're very good, but in baseball, there's so many small things that can change a game. Like the team that I follow, the Cleveland baseball team, technically, on paper, they're a worse team than they were last year. But record-wise, they're a better team this year, which is crazy because Francisco Lindor isn't on the team anymore. So I have no way to qualify it. I don't understand it. I don't get it. But you're right. When a dude like Bryce Harper leaves and then this team wins a World Series the very next year, is it because the allocation of funds was spread out to so many good players as opposed to a great player to one singular player? Is that it? I just don't know.
Well, it's funny because like the Chiefs, they make Patrick Mahomes the highest paid quarterback in the history of the NFL, right? Like he gets half a bill. Was it half a bill? I mean, I think it was like
49 somewhere around.
It was ridiculous.
It's crazy numbers.
But
NBA numbers.
But the deal with that is it's okay because you're going to win with him.
Mm-hmm.
In basketball. You're going to give Kevin Durant. You're going to give Antetokounmpo. You're going to give. Who's the player we're talking about? Luka. He's going to get paid sick amount of money in Dallas. For one, they have the funds to do it, but the reason too is you could justify it because your best chance of winning is having Luka on the roster. You have no chance of winning without Luka. You at least have a chance of winning, even with an average roster. You have a chance of winning with Luka. In baseball, I just don't. I never will understand why teams are forking out those big $400 million deals to get a player that. I mean, maybe you're talking about WAR, wins above replacement, whatever. Yeah. We're talking about 14 sometimes. So in a 162-game season, that player is guaranteeing you 14 wins, and that's worth $400 million to you. That is strange to me. LeBron equals a championship contender every year.
Right.
This player gives you 14 wins, and you're sitting there saying that that's worth $400 million. I can't fathom that. I actually like this is why when the Reds did their free agency scramble a few years ago, Kev, I was a big fan of it. They were going after the 10 to 15 mil guys. They were going after Moustakas and Castellanos. You know what I mean? They were going like Wade Miley. That was a good bargain get. Like you can spend, you don't have to be super cheap, but you don't have to go shop in the super expensive aisle either. Like you don't have to get Walmart brand. What's the Walmart brand? Great value. You don't have to get great value. All right.
There's nothing wrong with great value.
There's nothing. I'm not. But you know how people are like, always get great value because it's cheap. But you don't have to get that. You could actually go get, I don't know. It is what it is. But the bottom line is, I will never agree with people or with baseball teams who do that. I never want to see the Reds spend max dollar on somebody. I want them to give a max contract. Like they can do a big deal with Castellanos or Winker. But as much as I love Winker, the dude's not worth $300 million. Castellanos is not worth $300 million.
So what do you say to people that say, all right, if you're going to spend big money, you spend it on an everyday player as opposed to a pitcher who only pitches every 3 or 4 days?
The problem is you have to now because the market forces you to. Because now you can't go. It's like, well, I would love to see shorter deals. I can't stand the 10, 14-year deals. I think that's a joke. I love the NBA because, at least every 4 or 5 years we're hitting reset and stars are being shipped all over the place, right? Like you can get out of underneath the contract and start over. In baseball, you're married to the guy. Now you could trade him, but usually you're trading into a rebuild. So, and what did the Reds get from the Joey Votto deal? I think they got more bang for their buck than what the Angels did with Pujols. But what did the Reds get? They spent him a ton of money. He gets an MVP. They get ousted to the playoffs, and they go right into a rebuild. So, was the deal worth it? I don't know.
I don't know. It just has nothing to do with anything. But I was just looking at Barry Bonds' stats from the 2002 World Series. So it went 7 games. They eventually lost to Anaheim. But Barry Bonds, 17 at-bats, 8 hits, 4 home runs, 13 RBIs in 7 games. That's insane, dog.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's usually like a... But see, he was dominant. What you watched with him, like that was dominance. Like, I don't even think there's a player in the game today that's dominant. And by the way, I would pay pitchers. You live and die by pitchers.
Hey, man. What would Barry Bonds get paid today? Hitting like that.
He would be right. He'd be right up there with Trout and Tatis. Of course, Tatis looks like Barry with the Pirates.
Facts.
So we'll see if Tatis balloons out like Barry with the Giants. All right, we'll step away for a few moments. Mike Golick Jr. Just confirmed with him 18 minutes from now, 4 o'clock. We'll chat with him. So we'll talk about the name, image, and likeness ordeal with him. And, of course, we'll talk some – he's not a Buckeye fan, by the way.
You don't say.
He was giving us crap about the Buckeyes today when we chatted with him earlier today about our interview. So we'll talk some Buckeyes with him. And, of course, him, former Notre Dame player at that. So there you go. All right, folks, we'll be back in a moment. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
The City of Moraines Star Spangled Boom is on Sunday, July 4th. The fun begins at 6 p.m. with amusement rides, games, and food trucks. There will be live music by the area's favorite band, The Menus. They hit the stage at 7:30 p.m. And the new low-profile fireworks show will start at 10. The best spot to view them is Wax Park, 3800 Main Street in Moraine.
Life hacks. What would life be without them? Like using candle wax to loosen a stuck zipper. Here's another life hack. Now you can get the same high-quality insurance from Allstate, but at a new low rate. With Allstate, you can lower your rates, not your expectations. Visit allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today.
In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Not available in every state. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
At Menards, save big money on your concrete project with 11% off everything. General Purpose Concrete does more than just sidewalks and steps. It's great for patios, setting posts, mailboxes, and basketball hoops. Just add water, mix, and pour. Need quick setting, crack-resistant, or high-strength concrete? We have those too. Now through July 4th, Concrete Mix is 11% off. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Hold on. You want me to tell them about Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea in just 30 seconds? This is impossible. Hey, I'm Billy from Twisted Tea. How can I explain that first sip of cold, smooth, real brewed tea? So good. And the extra kick you get from just the right amount of alcohol, the twist of lemon, wait, what? We're almost out of time? Oh, shit. Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Look for the bright yellow cans wherever you buy beer.
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
Have you wanted to speak a new language but thought it'd be too difficult or take too much time? Then try Babbel. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel teaches you conversations that you will actually use. With 14 languages and lesson topics like travel, business, relationships, and more, you'll learn what matters most to you. Babbel. Language for life. Learn a new language with ease. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com.
You may have heard that Allstate has new low auto rates, but isn't it time to see for yourself? Visit allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Weekdays at 3 p.m. right here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER. And ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
All right, so the Milwaukee Bucks, they came away with a victory last night in Game 5 without Giannis on. It was it was probably one of the worst playoff matchups in the history of the playoffs. I mean, it was a good game, but I mean, my goodness, no stars on either side. But nonetheless, that was the big question. You take away both stars. I think everyone kind of assumed the Bucks were the better team, but sometimes the worst teams playing with house money, which they rise to the occasion sometimes because there's less pressure. Even Milwaukee, there always has to be a team that has pressure, even without Giannis. Both team stars were out. You could have said, oh, well, there's no pressure on either team. But you talked about it with Middleton, that the pressure was we put on him. But Lopez?
Yeah, man, turned back the hands of time, didn't he?
I mean, there was one point where he stepped up about free throw line extended, and I think he thought he was closer to the bucket because he went to go do like a hook shot, and then he realized, oh crap, I'm too far away. So then he put his hand on the side and guided it, but he made it. But 30 plus points, 18 rebounds. Where he just, I mean, they were Giannis numbers. I mean, so it was technically a Giannis game. He literally put up Giannis numbers. Middleton played great, but he was. The role stayed the same. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't expect that from Lopez a lot moving forward, but good for Lopez. But that's what championship teams do. Good championship quality teams do. Someone's got to step up. Yep. I mean, it could have been one of those where everyone folded and said, "Man, without Giannis, we don't have a chance." But good, good for that team. Good for I always forget the coach's name,
Coach Bud.
Bud. So what's his full name? Budenholzer.
There you go.
So. good for him. Because he gets knocked a lot because he doesn't make any good game adjustments as the game goes on. But, sometimes it's about having your team prepared and ready to play. Whatever message it was, I mean, good for the players for being ready to play too. There's so many reasons for them to come out flat, and they came out and took care of business on their home floor. So now they have a chance to close it out and punch their ticket to the finals. If you're Giannis, do you try to come back?
No.
You already knew what I was going to ask.
Nope.
You don't try to do it?
Nope. You don't try to come back unless there's a game 7. If you send in the guys, hopefully that Middleton and Holiday and Lopez can get you that victory in game 6 in Atlanta on Saturday. You rest, you try to get that knee healed up and everything like that. And only way you play is if it's a game 7 back at your place. And you do limited minutes then as well, because the prize is there for the taking. The NBA Finals championship is there for the taking. But if you're not at least at 90%, it's probably not going to happen. So you need just to rely on your teammates. Hopefully they can come through for Giannis and get this victory on Saturday and everything like that. And I know that Trae Young is thinking like, I got to get out there on Saturday, that my team needs me, because if we don't win, we're staying home. Our season's over. So there's going to be a lot of decisions made between now and tomorrow. I predict that Trae Young plays, Giannis sits, but the Bucks still win the game.
Yeah, and my concern with all this too, and look, the Clippers did this with Kawhi. The Clippers knew Kawhi wasn't going to play the rest of the series, even if they get to the finals, but they kept doing this day-to-day thing. And by the way, there's a very good chance. Like, we're sitting here saying, oh man, Giannis, he was ruled out last night, but maybe he'll be good in a couple of days. There's a good chance he doesn't play the rest of this playoffs, even the finals. And by the way, how strange would that be? That it always takes me back to JT Barrett, the year they won the national championship. We had the debate, is he a championship winning quarterback? Like, in all seriousness, imagine, and by the way, the Bucks should not beat the Suns without Giannis Antetokounmpo, but for whatever reason, the pressure becomes too much for Chris Paul. I don't anticipate that, but you never know. No one anticipated the Heat to, fold the way that they did against the Mavericks, over 10 years ago. So I know, right? That seems just like a few years ago. That's 10 years ago. But no, like, you know what I mean? Like, imagine if that happens. That hurts the legacy of Giannis. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, your team wins a championship without you, right? Like, that's strange. Good for the Bucks if they can pull that off, but they just need to worry about getting there first.
Yeah.
But I don't think Giannis plays the rest of the NBA playoffs.
So? I think he is.
They're doing this weird fake, like, day-to-day, like, oh, well, maybe in a few days. They did the same thing with Kawhi, and Kawhi, there was no chances of him playing the rest of the way.
I think the big difference between Giannis and Kawhi is Kawhi has had that chronic knee injury going back since his days with San Antonio, and that was like the whole situation why things just
good thing he rested.
As the thing why everything just went to hell in a handbasket with San Antonio. The doctors are telling him one thing, he goes out there, it's making the knee more painful and everything like that, yada yada yada. So you get nothing, and now you got the situation with Giannis. I think he's gonna play in the finals. If that thing ain't tore, he's playing. It's the finals. He's gonna play.
I mean, I know
they make it, of course.
I know it's the finals, but like, we always do this thing like the finals doesn't get any bigger than that, but it doesn't get any bigger than having the chance to get there. So what if there's a game 7?
He's playing.
So you're
game 7. Game 7. If they lose this and it's a game 7, he's gonna play in game 7.
Fair enough. That's all I wanted to hear.
How about another thing? Coach Bud. This is crazy because I forgot that Coach Bud was the head coach of the Hawks last time they played in the Eastern Conference Finals. Remember that team who was on there? Al Horford, Culver, Joe Johnson.
That's when they went at the Celtics that year. That was one of the final years of the Kevin Garnett run and Paul Pierce and Ray Allen.
Swept out the playoffs by LeBron and the Cavs.
That's how it worked. That's what they don't call it the Eastern Conference for no reason, right there. Big news not big news, I guess, but news out of the NFL today. Hard Knocks.
Oh yeah.
Dallas Cowboys, baby.
I'm not liking my 13 wins prediction anymore.
The Dallas Cowboys will make their third appearance on Hard Knocks. Again, they will become the first NFL team to be featured for the third time on Hard Knocks in the show's 20th anniversary season. It was announced this past Friday. So HBO and NFL Films, they both announced it today that it will be a 5-episode season and it will debut on August 10th. As crazy as that sounds, that is just a month away. Just over a month away, which means to have a 5-episode series, you actually have to have practices and stuff. So we're getting so close. Your team and the Cowboys are playing in that Hall of Fame game coming up. So we might have to call our dudes over at our sister station in Canton to see what we can do. We can get over there and do the show from the Hall of Fame game right there.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Hopefully we're in the mix. We can get it done.
So I'm looking at this. The Cowboys were in the 2002 season of Hard Knocks, 2008, and this upcoming season. So they've been in it 3 times, including this year. And how many Bengals were in 2009 and 13? Man. Okay, I'm just looking at a couple of these teams that have been in there. Who would you want to see on Hard Knocks, excluding the Cowboys? Because I'm sure this is going to be a very good watch.
It's easy to say the Browns, but I do think that the Browns would be an interest. I mean, the Browns are a very interesting team. Not just because I'm a Browns fan. I'm being serious here. Like the Browns, I would have loved to have seen. You look across the league. I mean, I guess the Pittsburgh, I'd be fascinated by watching the behind the scenes of Big Ben's potential final year of what camp looks like right there. There's a lot of question marks. You have the Dwayne Haskins element. The team I'm surprised that did not get it, Urban Meyer in Jacksonville.
It's a good call.
I'm trying to pick a team that I don't have like a weird connection to in regards to because the Browns, I think, is a fair answer, but I'll just get people in their car right now like, oh, of course he says the Browns. I'm going to say the Jaguars. Well, Buckeye fan, of course you say the Jaguars with Urban Meyer, but I find that whole scenario fascinating. The Bears, I want to see that correlate. I think there's a correlation there with the Bears that we saw with the Browns years ago, where you have a coach who is fighting for his job the way Hugh Jackson was and Coach Nagy over there. Coach Nagy is trying to sound like you know what it sounds like to me when they're doing the whole Andy Dalton's the starter, Justin Fields, it's just a learning year for him. You know what that sounds like? A coach who is trying to convince the media and convince his team and convince everybody that I have a plan.
Right.
I got this. We have this. Like, that's what I honestly, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I felt like. That's what I honestly felt about with the Hugh Jackson thing with Baker. It was, no, we're on to something here. We got Tyrod Taylor. He's our starter. They went as far as keeping Baker away from all the first team reps, period. Remember that? Like, it was like Baker didn't get one first team rep during that entire preseason and training camp. I would have picked sorry, my phone or something just started playing in the background. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like when coaches do this, it's them trying to convince the media, convince the fan base, and convince the players that, oh, coach said it's Andy Dalton. Coach has a plan. No, this is his last grasp at, I'm in control. I know what I'm doing. Trust me. I don't think anyone he's making a mistake. I just don't see this working out for the Bears. Justin Fields would be the guy. I would love to see them on Hard Knocks.
What about the champs?
I think that's an easy one, right? You know what? The Patriots.
So, okay, I'm with you.
I would have rather gone to that's the team. That's the obvious one. The Patriots are the most interesting team because
I think the Cowboys are the most interesting team. But we also got to remember this. This is a TV product. I might be a Steelers fan. You might be a Browns fan, but there is no doubt in my mind there are more Cowboys fans in the world.
Jerry Jones was playing beer pong.
Yeah.
With with who? With Zeke, but the rapper. Who was the rapper he had in there? Oh, why am I losing my mind? Post Malone. So he was playing beer pong with Post Malone in his schedule reveal and then making it rain on Dak and Zeke as they're walking out. And by the way, him making it rain, I just laughed at that because it was like, if he would have just made it rain sooner, none of this Dak Prescott holding out thing would have mattered.
It would have saved you like $10 million. But I truly believe that the Dallas Cowboys fan base is the biggest in football.
Yep.
So we always got to remember this is a TV product and they want to, get more eyeballs on the screen. So that's why, as much as we will want to see what's going on with Herb, because we're Buckeye fans, we have that connection to him. And then we're college football fanatics. So we want to see what's going on with Sunshine down there. The majority of people are like, they're going to tune out because they're not going to make a 5-hour show about him. He'll pop in, pop out, pop in, pop out. People want to know what's going on with the Dallas Cowboys. So the top 3 for me would have been the Cowboys, the Bucks, and you brought up a great one. I'll steal it from you, the Patriots. I didn't even think about the Patriots. I think the Patriots would have been some good TV too. And another thing is, I thought the NFL said every team has to be in it because I remember a year that the Steelers were supposed to be in it, and coach was like, nah. And they said, okay. And then that following year, they put in the rule if we say we're coming, we're coming.
Well, my thing with all this, and for one, I actually don't find the Cowboys interesting at all.
Really?
I mean, they're interesting, but I'm not stopping what I'm doing to go watch the Cowboys in Hard Knocks. I would stop what I'm doing. I would love to see the behind the scenes of the Cam Newton, Mac Jones, like aura. How Belichick handles that. Pittsburgh, same thing. I'd love to see the behind the scenes stuff, with that. But like, I just don't find the Cowboy. I mean, by the way, we're live on Facebook, we're live on YouTube, ESPN Dayton on YouTube. Follow that, subscribe, watch along, and leave your opinions in the comment section. We'll bring them into the show. Same thing on Facebook. Search the Justin Kinner Show. Doug Toby on Facebook says Houston with all the dysfunction going on. I don't look there. If it was the dysfunction of, and Doug, I would agree with you about the Houston would have been semi-interesting until the sexual assault stuff started coming out. I agree with you. Houston would have been interesting. I would have loved to see the dysfunction because you had what's his name, wanting to be traded out. The Packers, that's another interesting one too. The Packers, everything I just said about the Texans is basically what I'm saying. That the Packers would be interesting is seeing the dynamics there, especially if he does show up for camp and seeing how awkward it is between him and Matt LaFleur, or him and Jordan Love. And if he doesn't show up, you still have the development of Jordan Love and the uneasiness of there too. Houston I think is too dangerous because of the element of the off the field situation versus the issues between player and front office.
It's not about football. It's about something else. And, they had a lot of things going on inside the organization that are football related, but the stuff that's happening with Deshaun Watson overshadows that by tenfold. So that's a very sticky situation for the league to get involved with. And another thing is, Jerry Jones wants this. He wants them to come to town. He will want them there every year. He lives for this type of stuff. So
Mike McCarthy's boring too. He's just boring. Dak Prescott, he's just too goody-goody, man. He bores me too. The most interesting thing he did was almost hold out.
But Zeke is there. Feed me.
Yeah, that's a problem. He needs to stop eating too.
Amari Cooper's there.
No, seriously, Zeke needs to stop eating, so he needs to come in shape.
CeeDee Lamb.
CD's what? Andrew on YouTube.
Back at 13 wins for the Cowboys.
And Andrew on YouTube says 49ers would be great to watch on Hard Knocks. It's another one, an interesting one there with Garoppolo. And that's what he said. I'm sorry. So Andrew goes on to say 49ers with Garoppolo and Trey Lance, Bosa coming off of an injury. I find them intriguing. I don't find them interesting enough for an HBO series.
What about the Seahawks?
So there was a press conference during the OTAs where Pete Carroll was sitting there, and I love this too, by the way, because Russell Wilson walked by and he put his arm around Coach and smiled, and they hugged in front of the camera. And so the second that happened, I'm like, No one watches soap operas to watch happy married couples, right? No one watches the Jersey Shore anymore. No one watched the Jersey Shore to watch Sammy and Ronnie get along, right? Who would have wanted that? People want drama. People want that. That's why I feel like the Patriots are always intriguing. The Browns are always intriguing. But going to be interesting nonetheless. So with that being said, what about who I wish had it? I would have had a field day.
No. They've been on twice already, man. They've been on twice already. 9 and 13, man. They've been on twice already.
Doug Toby says Houston with all the dysfunction going on. He's a Bengals fan. That's all the reason right there why the Cincinnati Bengals should have been on. Kev, I'd have been in heaven.
Short episodes, man. Coach like to cut practice short.
That's true. Damn it.
I'm sorry.
That was awesome.
That was too easy.
Good for you. Good for you. See,
too easy.
Yeah.
Sorry.
My sources are telling me that the Bengals were up for Hard Knocks, but they needed 5 episodes worth of content. And with Zach Taylor ending practice early every day, and sometimes not even having, it's kind of, you can't have Hard Knocks if Zach Taylor doesn't have practice and any footage. So there you go.
I'm
Thank
sorry,
you.
Bengals
Good
fans.
for you. I knew you'd come around. Hour 2 coming up next. We'll chat with Mike Golick Jr. Don't go anywhere. He joins us next. Kevin, you're such a hater.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. WING 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio.
This is a big deal. Now, at healthcare.gov, millions more people can afford health coverage. Due to the COVID relief law, 4 out of 5 customers can get a plan for under $10 a month with financial help. From doctor visits to preventive services to prescription drugs, these are quality plans. You can do this. You can have coverage as soon as August 1st if you sign up now at healthcare.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Milano's Pizza Subs and Taps' new summer menu is the perfect pairing to the Big on Tap beer selection. Try your favorite craft beer with a bacon cheddar cheesesteak or a new Milano's Pizza choice.
Welcome guests back in with 4th of July savings at Lowe's. Get Valspar Signature Interior Paint and Primer starting at $32.98 per gallon. And with appliance savings today and every day, save up to $750 now on select major appliances. The summer savings continue this July 4th. So stop at Lowe's or buy online and pick up in store. Lowe's, home to any budget, home to any possibility. Paint pricing valid through 7/7/21. In-store must ask cashier to apply coupon. Savings vary based on purchase amount. Can't be combined with additional discounts. Exclusions apply. Valid through 7/14.
Rittal North America, LLC in Urbana will be hosting on-site walk-in interviews every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Plus, Rittal will be at Urbana University for the Champaign County Career Fair on July 10th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Please come out to see us and enjoy the added activities of food trucks, live music, and autograph signing by former Ohio State Buckeyes. Rittal has immediate openings seeking experienced welders, machine operators, paint unloaders, and paint loaders. Rittal is proud to be an affirmative action and equal opportunity employer.
Everything you want to hear is on Audible. Stream the bestsellers and the newest hot releases, and stream originals and podcasts too. Sign up for a free trial at audible.com.
There are many ways to catch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. You can catch it live right here on 1410 Wing AM, or you can stream the show at wingam.com. But now we have another way that you can take in the show. You can now watch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash live on ESPN Dayton's Facebook page. Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com.
All right, we welcome you back. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. And name, image, and likeness, where the college athletes had the nerve to try to make money off of their name, image, and likeness. They're ruining college athletics. They're ruining the NCAA infrastructure. And that's what we're going to talk about with our next guest, Mike Golick Jr. Mike Golick Jr. from Shanae and Golick Jr. weekdays from 4 to 7 p. on ESPN Radio. But because Kev and I are selfish, we take 2 of their hours, so you can hear them from 6 to 7 on ESPN 1410 Wing. Mike, welcome in, man. I appreciate your time today.
Thanks for having me, guys. Really appreciate it.
And we appreciate you letting us borrow 2 hours of your showtime here on Wing. So I will say that. But yeah, so the world hasn't ended. I believe most of the people out there slept just fine last night, despite, you being a former college athlete. I mean, the nerve of you guys to actually try and make money off your name, image, and likeness. What the hell is wrong with you guys?
It is amazing, just the greed and selfishness rampant in college athletes here. You know what? You're right, though. I went to bed last night. We all woke up this morning, and my God, the whole establishment didn't burn down. I looked at my house, I was doing fine. I checked on my parents. They're out by South Bend. The dome didn't crumble into the earth at Notre Dame. So I think we're all going to be okay as the dust kind of settles on this. And I said yesterday, we were drinking NIL through a fire hose yesterday when all of this news came out. Every single deal, no matter how big or small, was reported yesterday and blown up. And listen, it felt even overwhelming for me to try and keep track of. So I can imagine for a person who looks at any change to college sports as a threat to this thing that they love, that yesterday was kind of scary. And so I kind of went out of my way to just pat everyone on the back and be like, listen, this isn't going to change the sport that you watch pretty much at all when we get to the fall, when we get to this winter. So don't worry so much about it.
Yeah, and we kind of had an idea of some things that were going to, like social media. That's going to be the main core of a lot of these money-making opportunities, I would assume. So we kind of know some of the avenues that we would assume coming into this. Have you come across, again, we're only a day into this, have you come across something that you were surprised by? Is there an example of a NIL deal that you looked at and said, oh, that's a good idea, I didn't think of that?
You know what? I'm going to use this one example to be funny to get to what I thought was the cooler, larger point today. Is there was some offensive lineman, I want to say at Marshall, who was excited because now he can go and receive money to play guitar at the bar that he likes to go and play at. He can do paid gigs there at the bar. And that, to me, I was like, oh, that's kind of entrepreneurial, good for him. And the more and more of these I looked around and realized, I said, all right, Kyle Hamilton at Notre Dame and a couple of his teammates started a podcast there. I'm sure you're going to get some players that work in design that start to try and see if they can profit off things like their website, because we went through this a couple of years ago with that punter from Central Florida who had a YouTube channel. And the more I looked around at this, and I said, well, you know what? A lot of my teammates that I would have leave school that would come back when I was still in there say, you know, when we go out into the job market with this Notre Dame degree, I got the jobs that I want telling me, well, I have a great degree, but I don't have any experience in the field. I didn't get to do the internships. And then I got the jobs that I have to think I settle for saying, well, you're overqualified for this. And so I look at this now and say, all right, what a great avenue for entrepreneurial players who might look and say, I'm not an NFL caliber star, and have that realization while they're in college. Now they can go out there, earn some money in their free time by doing this thing that the NCAA loves to put out there, right? Going pro in something other than sports, starting to set themselves up for their life after whatever that sport is. And so now you've got real-world avenues where these players can get a crash course in. All right, how do I set these things up in something that might be my future career? What's the structure going to look like financially for me? What are the tax implications for this? And I think all of that can end up being, I mean, exactly what this is all supposed to be, right? Like an educational experience.
Yeah, for me, since we're so selfish and everything like that, all we talk about is how it's going to affect college football and college basketball and everything like that. But there's a ton of other sports that this affects. We were reading about the gymnast who has a potential $2 million deal on the table. So I think this is going to be huge for women's sports as well. What do you think?
Oh, massive. The name that stuck out to me yesterday, because I'm with you, we heard a lot of people talking about someone like Katie Ledecky, who's going to go down as probably the most decorated female swimmer, maybe one of the more decorated Olympians ever. I remember a name because my sister was a college swimmer. Missy Franklin was a swimmer around her time who, same deal, like a lot of these Olympic athletes have to turn down hundreds of thousands of dollars in endorsement money when they go and represent their country in the biggest Olympic, the biggest sporting competition the world has. And so now those athletes aren't going to have to sacrifice one for the other anymore. And we talked about this yesterday with a lot of people, is it's a great chance through all of this, through these advertisements, through this financial support, to get to know these athletes better in some of these Olympic sports, in some of the sports that women play that may not get the support. I mean, hell, we saw this spring, women's basketball not getting the support from the governing body that it deserves in this. And so at the very least now, if you're getting dollars and cents poured into these athletes, it's going to tell their stories more, which is going to bring more eyeballs to the sport. And I think all has a net benefit there.
I was talking with some friends of mine there on the aspect of saying this is going to spiral out of control. And I just attack it from the standpoint of, the NCAA has spent decades trying to block things like this from happening. And I just view this as chickens coming home to roost for the NCAA.
Yeah, well, and you're right, especially on, because listen, nothing is going to come without problems, right? We've seen the transfer pool already having some issues there, and I think that is an objective good. Like, I think choice for these athletes in a limited window to earn and participate and give themselves an opportunity beyond college is an absolute good. But it's going to come with issues that arise because we're doing this for the first time. And what the NCAA, especially, you're right, getting their chickens come to home to roost, is they had a chance for so long to see this coming. This was not something that snuck up on them. And they could have said, you know what? We've got compliance officers on campus all over the country. We've got an infrastructure that's already in place for how we govern some of these things. We could make ourselves actually useful to this process and say, we're going to put some things in place to make sure that these athletes are taken care of, that when these things come up, we're going to have ways to educate them, ways to make sure that they're not getting taken advantage of by people coming into this situation looking to make a buck. But no, instead they decided to lawyer up and bury their heads in the sand. And so now when these problems arise and we all rightly rake them over the coals, they're going to have to sit there and eat it. And now they're getting it from, state representatives and the Supreme Court. Like, the voices are only growing louder around Mark Emmert and this group.
We're hanging out with ESPN's Mike Golick Jr. here today as we head into the holiday weekend. Of course, we appreciate him hanging out with us here on the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Mike, a few years ago, I got a speeding ticket. I was going 65 and a 55. And now that 55 speed limit is a 65, and I still had to pay for that ticket. And I'm thinking about reaching back out and saying I want my money back, because that ticket that I paid for it, that was because I was going 65 and a 55. Well, that's now 65, so I should get my money back, right? It doesn't work that way. And this Reggie Bush storyline is kind of interesting to me, because he wants his Heisman back, he wants his stats restored. I know the rules were outdated, I know they were silly, I didn't agree with them, but at the end of the day, a rule was still broken. He, rules that he knew the repercussions of breaking, were going to be there, and it happened. Where are you with Reggie Bush wanting his Heisman back, wanting the stats restored? I have no problem with him wanting it back and wanting the stats restored, but to truly expect it to happen and to vilify the NCAA if they don't do it, where do you sit on that when it comes to that big picture?
Oh, no, they need to give him that trophy back.
Damn it, come on.
Your analogy with the speeding ticket is performance-based, right? Like, that rule was there to govern your participation in driving on the road with other people's safety. That would be like if this was a conversation about Reggie Bush and PEDs, but it's not. Reggie Bush having a car or his family having a house or whatever the hell happened with him in that situation, none of it affected the way that dude played football. Like, Reggie Bush went out there and earned that Heisman and everything else with the way that he performed on the football field here. This was something that runs parallel to that. It is not perpendicular. It's not crossover. And so I don't think that there's anything that precludes them from going back and doing the right thing and saying, hey, you know what, the way that we went about this was silly. I mean, quite frankly, like, the notion of taking it away for what they did is sort of silly in general. It's this usual high and mighty NCAA. We want to look like some bastion of morality when we know and see time and time again they're anything but.
I was really counting on you to agree with me on that. And we have a rule that if you don't agree with me, you can't do the show anymore. So there goes your one interview every 3 months, Mike. I'm just telling you. But Kev, you wanted to jump in on that.
Yeah, man.
You're going to take the third hour from me.
That makes more work for me. We ain't about that. So there you go.
Mike, obviously it's the mouse over everything, but, Fox has their big noon kickoff, and here in Buckeye country, everybody gets their panties in a bunch because Ohio State is constantly on at noon, and they're not under the lights as much as they
My
used
panties
to be.
are in a bunch. I'm one of them. Thank you very much.
So what do you say to those people that have to deal with Ohio State playing at noon as opposed to the night games?
You know what? I don't know if you're going to get anyone that's really going to shed a few tears for Ohio State or the way that they're covered by the outside world. Like, you know what? And this is just me on the other side, too. As a player, I always love a good game. Like, I understand as a fan, you can't be outside drinking all day and getting ready for those night games and doing all that fun stuff, but I love waking up early, getting right to it, not having to wait around all day to play at some night game there. So I'm a big fan of the noon kick. I think Ohio State, because a lot of these conversations we have around the kick times, I know Nick Saban raised hell about this, but that was mostly related to weather and the things that he thought about there. A lot of this comes down to, for programs, we hear this from the Pac-12, wanting to make sure they're relevant based on when the kickoffs are, that they're going to be digested, that they're going to be involved in all this. And I just can't ever see that being a problem with Ohio State. So I really don't see the flaws here.
And look, I know, and us Buckeye fans, we have it rough. We have it real rough. So I will say, no, but in all seriousness, when it comes to this, I understand what Fox is doing. Again, they want to build and they want to build their brand around the big noon kickoff, and that's fine. But what I don't like is that, especially for any program out there, like we'll use Oregon as an example, Ohio State and Oregon, that's a huge non-conference matchup, of course, and that's a noon kickoff. I have a huge problem with that, and I think that it's not just a regular Big Ten Saturday, or it's not your Ohio State versus Miami of Ohio, or some small program like like Notre Dame. I'm sorry, what I say? But no, that's a primetime worthy game, and I get that that's Fox's primetime, but I just don't get it. I don't like it at noon. And then also, really, the people that should be complaining most is Oregon. A noon kick, that's 9 a.m. their time. I think they should be the ones having a bigger issue with it than anyone.
Oh, see, and I think that's where you're wrong on that side, because we saw last year the Pac-12 campaigning for this was a conversation last year in the waning, rest of the Larry Scott tenure in the Pac-12 was, all right, do you try and push for more of these noon kicks, even though it's a 9 a.m. local kick for what it would be on your body clock out where they're used to in Eugene here? The Pac-12 saying we need games like this where we're going to be in the middle of the day. And I know for them, they're scared. They appeared to be scared as hell going up against the SEC in that 3:30 window, which I know isn't the case for Ohio State, isn't the case for the Big Ten. But for the Pac-12, I don't think you'll get any qualms about that, because the one thing about being the noon kick is your highlights run for the rest of the day. Mm-hmm. And so for the Pac-12, if you get in that game, every show that's on for the rest of the day covering college football, running highlights of your game against Ohio State. So it's a good branding opportunity for them. I get it for Ohio State, but I don't know. There's part of me that just looks at it and says college football is an all-day immersive experience for my Saturdays. And whether it's a noon start, whether it's the 3:30 window, whether it's prime time here, I'm usually dialed into all of it, and I feel like college football's fan bases especially are kind of willing to get up and get after it.
All right, Notre Dame needs to be in the conference. Let's just rip that Band-Aid off right away. So I got that out there. The college football playoff proposal. I've been saying for a while that Notre Dame, I would like them to get in the conference. I was actually upset with the ACC for bailing you guys out. I'll just be a little honest with you. I thought they bailed you guys out last year. But they took care of business. They made the playoff anyway. So they laughed at me and everyone else who has the opinion I do about it. But what's your thoughts on this 12-team playoff proposal that, big picture still does impact the independents, with Notre Dame being the face of the independents in football, of course? Your thoughts on the 12-team proposal and how that could impact Notre Dame, especially if they're the number one team in the country. They could average 100 points a game and give up 0 points a game and still not be one of the teams with the bye. Your overall thoughts on the proposal?
Yeah, for me, honestly, because Notre Dame's been right on the cusp, right? You got a couple of college football playoff experiences, but in actuality, when we've gotten there, we've seen, all right, there's still a gap to go between them and the top tier of teams. And I mean, talent-wise, when you look at the people that are recruiting at the top level, it's Alabama, it's Georgia, it's Clemson, it's Ohio State. So I'd like to see Notre Dame just continue to make up the gap there. Like, give me the chance to make that argument that your system looks silly. Because right now I look at this 12-team expanded playoff, and it actually seems to make a lot of sense, right? Like, this isn't about competition. Teams, 6 through 12 don't have a real chance to win the national championship. There's like 3 teams every year that have a realistic chance. I mean, hell, look at the title game that we just watched this last year. Some years there's 1 team. So what we've done is we've recreated the BCS, right? Like, we just have more games that mean more now because they've got that college football playoff wrapping on them. And so now we're going to have to talk about more of these teams, which I think is an objective good in all of this. For the Notre Dame side of things, it's even easier for us to make the college football playoffs now. Like, I understand, we won't have to have that first round bye, but now there's no more like conference championship Saturday when we used to sit around and have to worry about being out of sight and out of mind. Like, now, like an 11-win, 12-win Notre Dame team is making the college football playoff, no questions asked now. And so they're going to keep giving them that proximity. It's just going to be a matter for Notre Dame. Can they, Brian Kelly now in his second decade in the program, which is a wild thing to say now, the passage of time on that, but can they continue to build on what they've had and, find that quarterback that can break them through or find that next thing that gets them over the hump there? That'll be the real question for them. The conference thing at this point isn't really going to make much of a difference.
Mike, this has absolutely nothing to do with sports, but I am a sneakerhead just like you are. I have taken so many L's on the sneaker app. What is your strategy? How can I get my sneaker game back up to par, man? Because I haven't won on sneaker app since about October. I need some wins.
Yeah, no, it's been a struggle, man. I got my first win in probably 6 months, and I saw this actually a while back. Like, Nike basically laid out the ingredients to this pie and said, the more you interact with the app, the better chance you have of hitting on this. So they apparently really want us spending as much time on the sneakers app as we do on Twitter and Instagram. And so I'm trying to just, give it a little love every day, scroll through, hit a couple of those reminders here. What I really need from the sneakers app is this. They'll give me that 15-minute reminder when I click a shoe that I really like. I need like a 5-minute warning. 15 minutes is a long time. Like,
right.
We got stuff going on here. I get a text. I end up in a meeting, and all of a sudden I look down, and I didn't even get a chance to lose. I didn't even get a chance for you to tell me that I've taken an L again here. So, Sneakers, if you're listening to us, give us the 5-minute warning, for the love of God.
Kenner, you don't know the joy of the got 'em on your phone. When you get that got 'em from Nike sneaker app, it is the joy of all joys, man.
No, that's how I feel when I finally get a DoorDash delivery guy to bring me McDonald's late at night whenever no one else will. So I know the feeling. I don't know if it's the same, but it's right up there. So there you go. Mike Golick Jr. will send you out with this. You're going to be busy this 4th of July weekend, and something I enjoy eating. I like hot dogs, and there's a hot dog eating contest this weekend, and I think that's what you're going to be emceeing this weekend, correct?
Yeah, looking forward to it. Back on the call, myself, Richard Shea, him and his brother George, the face really of Major League Eating, and Jason Fitz working sideline for us. Yeah, it's called a hot dog contest this year. So we're going to watch an uncomfortable amount of hot dogs and buns meet their demise.
How many do you think you can down in it? What's the time limit? What's the time limit they have to down these?
Time limit is 10 minutes right now. It used to be a 12-minute clock years ago, made the switch to 10, and I've always gone back and forth on this, man. 10 minutes feels like a long time. I feel like I could comfortably get myself to 10 probably, in that like early double-digit range here, because the buns really start to add up quick, and I don't know if I'm willing to get down and dirty with them, dunking those buns, getting them as wet as these guys do, because it's just kind of nasty for me.
Man, I'm thinking about challenging Mike Golick Jr. to a hot dog eating contest, but I need a year to prepare for that. So I've just lost like 35 pounds, so I'm not really in that line of work right now. So I'm actually doing the opposite. I'm trying to eat as less as I can in 10 minutes versus as much as I can in 10 minutes. You mentioned Jason Fitz. We told this to him. He did a weekly spot with us during the football season, and your guys' Cheez-It commercial was one of my all-time favorites. I was dying laughing. Did you know that Cheez-Its were started here in the city of Dayton?
I did not know that, but now, listen, I've always enjoyed the city of Dayton. I now am eternally grateful to you guys because me and Cheez-Its have a loving, healthy relationship here, and one that I hope continues for a long time.
Well, there you go. But we've taken up enough of your time. We appreciate the time you have given us. Mike Golick Jr. from Shanae and Golick Jr. again, weekdays from 4 to 7 on ESPN Radio, or 6 to 7 on 1410 Wing AM immediately following our show. You're on here coming up in just a few moments, so we'll let you go. Mike, thank you so much. Enjoy your weekend and enjoy the call on the hot dog eating contest. We appreciate your time today.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Peace.
Can you get a Go Bucks? Do we get a Go Bucks?
Bye.
That's right. Take care.
See you guys.
Later. Thanks, man.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be partly cloudy, a high near 78. Tonight will be mainly clear, a low near 56. And tomorrow will be clear and sunny, a high near 82. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
From shredding to printing, the UPS store has every ing for small business. And on July 5th, when the other guys are closing, we're doing another ing altogether, opening. So while we're busy notarizing and copying, consulting and mailboxing, packing and shipping, well, they're not really doing much of any ing. Open July 5th, the UPS store. Every ing for small business, all in one place.
The UPS store.
The UPS store franchise locations are independently owned and operated. Services, pricing, and hours may vary. See Center for details.
The Meyer Distribution Center in Tip City is hiring for warehouse positions in all units, which includes flexible schedules, best-in-class benefits, enhanced starting wages, and a $500 signing bonus. Interested candidates should call 937-669-9109 from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., Monday through Friday. Walk-in interviews are strongly encouraged. Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Call 937-669-9109 for an interview or apply online at jobs.meyer.com. Meyer is an equal opportunity employer.
Tom Bodette here, still leaving the light on for the long-haul trucker. While we were locked down at home, you were out there day and night bringing us what we needed to make it through. And Motel 6 is here to help you make it through. Want to trade a loose load strap and a sore back for a good night's sleep? Yes, you do. Motel 6 has a place just down the road with a clean, comfortable room and a great low rate. You'll know it when you see it. I'm Tom Bodette from Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
Tired of deciding what to cook tonight? Frickers is ready when you are with everyone's favorite ribs and frickin' chicken chunks. Tender baby back ribs and frickin' chicken chunks, only $12.99 dine-in only. Take the day off as kids 10 and under eat free every day. And you can relax and let Frickers take care of everything. Baby back ribs, frickin' chicken chunks, and kids eat free at the one place that makes lunch, dinner, or late night easy. The home for fun, food, sports, and spirits, Frickers.
Baby back, baby back.
Hi, Pete Kasuja here to tell you that if you're looking for the very best selection of your favorite garden plants, we grow over 125 varieties of tomatoes, peppers, cabbage, broccoli, cucumbers, cantaloupe, and eggplants. And if you haven't tried our famous Neighbor Beater tomato and pepper plants, come out and pick up a few and enjoy the best taste you ever had from your garden. They taste so good you'll wish you planted more. And remember, Neighbor Beater garden plants are sold only at our garden center at 1309 Brant Pike. So get out that shovel and start digging. It's time for gardens, bedding plants, rose bushes, vines, ground cover, shade trees and shrubs, bird baths and fountains, and so much more. So join the Green Revolution and come out to see us at 1309 Brant Pike, where we're open 7 days.
Enjoy a powerful business upgrade with Dell Technologies Black Friday and July event. Get amazing savings with up to 50% off high-performance computers and tech built for business, and be able to take your office with you with Windows 10 Pro. Plus, get great offers on Dell servers, monitors, docks, and more, all with easy financing options through Dell Financial Services. Call 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL, and speak to a Dell Technologies advisor today.
Gentlemen, have you outgrown the Arctic Wolf at Extreme Sports Grooming Products? Cremo Company is proud to offer a more refined selection of products with good, uncommon scents and no cute names. Scents like Blue Cedar and Cypress, Silverwater and Birch, and our new Reserve Collection scent, Palo Santo. Available in rich, lathering body wash, luxurious colognes, barber-grade shampoos, and sweat-fighting antiperspirants and deodorants. Find the grown-up scents from Cremo Company at major retailers, Amazon, and CremoCompany.com.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of My Pillow, here to tell you about my Giza Dream bed sheets. The long staple cotton makes my Giza Dream sheets ultra soft and durable. They come with my 60-day money-back guarantee and a 10-year warranty. And now you can get the best sheets ever for the best price ever. When you buy one of my Giza Dream bed sheet sets, you'll get another one absolutely free.
Go to mypillow.com and click on the radio listeners square and use promo code SKY, S-K-Y, for this amazing special.
At Lowe's, we think July 4th reunions are better with a little flair. Get select 2.5 quart red, white, and blue annuals, 3 for $12, and select bag mulch at our new lower price, starting at $2.88 per bag. Make your home look festive today. The summer savings continue this July 4th, so stop by Lowe's in-store or online. Lowe's, home to any budget, home to any possibility. While supplies last, annuals offer in-store only. Actual plant size, selection, and product availability varies by location. Valid 6/24 through 7/7. U.S. only. Excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
You may have heard that Allstate has new low auto rates, but isn't it time to see for yourself? Visit allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today.
Want free Reds tickets? How about a free MLB Network Reds bag? Maybe a Reds bobblehead? Here's an idea. How about we combine them all together and give you a chance to win a free WING Reds prize pack presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. Register daily at wingam.com. All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
Big thanks to ESPN Radio's Mike Golick Jr. for taking the time and hanging out with us here on a Friday. Good stuff there. If you missed it, it will be up on the website at wingam.com. Make sure you are subscribing and downloading the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash podcast in your Apple iTunes and Google Play Store. There was a brief month where nothing was being added to that. That is back up and rolling over the last week. Everything is up there, including all the interviews that we've done, like with Bobby Carpenter, former Buckeye with ESPN. Of course, we earlier in the week, we had yesterday, we had Brian Roberts on, of course, to talk about, he was one of the first businesses to jump in line to be able to be a part of the name, image, and likeness deal, of course, with the current Dayton Flyers basketball team. So I think that's pretty cool. So if you missed that, you want to check that out. Plus, we talked some NBA playoffs with Brian Roberts as well. And before Obi Toppin played in the playoffs this year, actually, that's not true because Costas won the championship last year, technically, even though he didn't really play. Did he ever get any minutes?
I don't remember him.
But Brian Roberts was the last Flyer, I believe, that got major minutes in the playoffs like Obi did. So that's pretty cool, too. But we did not get a chance to talk Obi. I'm sure we'll have him on again. We'll talk about that again. But good stuff there. Check that out. Mike Golick Jr. interview will be there as well. So yesterday, there's kind of a parallel here. And it's such a weird crossover, and I'm a fan of Sha'Carri Richardson, which is I'm disappointed in this story that's come out and the handling of this, because she actually gets me to watch something I don't watch. I don't really care about about track or anything like that. But there's something different about her. She has this it factor. She has she's a draw. Like you know what I mean? Like, we see it in sports all the time. The main three sports I always watch are basketball, baseball, and football. And there are just some guys that look the part. There's some guys and girls that just look the part. When you walk into a gym, when you walk into the field, when you go to the stadium, there's just guys and gals that they just have a look to them that, you could you know what I mean? You could pinpoint the star. She has that. She looks the part. She just has this presence about her. But that's why I'm so annoyed with this story that has come out about this, because it's like I feel bad, but I don't at the same time. It's such a strange development that's happened here, because American sprinter Sha'Carri Richardson, she apologizes. She tested positive for marijuana. And is suspended and will not be able to participate in the Olympics coming up this summer. That's a huge deal, because this woman she's going to be the next big star. Like, she's a big star now, but she's going to be on the map come Olympics time. I'm bummed and disappointed that she's not going to be a part of the Olympics coming up. And I hate this, because the reason that she tested positive, she lost her mother. And one way to cope with that is she said that she was smoking a lot of weed during that time to cope with the loss of her mother. In fact, one of the prelim races she just won recently, very emotional scene. She's the second she was done celebrating, she was in the arms of her grandmother, just bawling in tears, but just because of all the emotions that came rushing to her. I'm putting that aside and saying you shouldn't have done it. Right? Like, I don't want to and that's the thing with this too, is with that aspect to it of I smoked weed because of that. I feel like that is I'm not saying that's what she's doing, but what sometimes that feels like is like, well, I did that to cope with the loss of my mom. Are you really going to punish me for how I dealt with that's what it's coming across as. And that's where I'm like losing I can't sympathize anymore past that point. Like, I sympathize with you. I've never lost a family member. It's going to, there's family members that are getting close to that in my life right now that I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to handle that. So I can sympathize with that. It's miserable. And I haven't even got to that point yet. But at the same time, you're going to be drug tested, and you've worked so hard for this. You're freaking amazing at what you do. Why would you risk it no matter what? Like, I don't want to sound insensitive. There's so many, I don't know how to cope. Let me just put it that way. I don't know. I can't sit there and say, don't cope doing that. Cope doing this. Right. But there's always options. And you made a decision. She made the decision. And unfortunately, that decision has led to her being suspended. I'm conflicted on how to feel about it, because I'm such a huge fan of hers. But at the same time, you shouldn't have done it. Like, you're going to get tested, and the rules are the rules. And all day today, it's been very similar to the conversation we had yesterday about Reggie Bush, where I was saying, well, rules are the rules, and just because the rule's stupid, you still have to follow it. You don't get off just because, the rule's stupid, so you get to pick whether you want to follow it or not. I was making light of that yesterday. I don't want to make light of this as much, because there's a deeper reasoning for her usage of the marijuana and all that stuff. So my sympathy goes to her losing her mother. My sympathy stops at where she got suspended. It's unfortunate. but you're going to be, of all the things too, of weed, something so small. They're like, oh, it's just weed. Well, if it's just weed, don't do it then. Like if we're going to minimalize it's just weed.
Right.
Well, if it's just weed, just put it away then. Wait till after your training is. Wait till after the Olympics. Smoke all the hell you want. I don't care. That stuff don't bother me one way or another. I don't care what people think of me for saying that. It doesn't bother me one way or another. If people do that, I don't judge you one bit. More power to you. I don't judge her for doing it. What I judge her for is knowing you're going to be tested, knowing the repercussions of what happens if there's a positive test. And then now you're doing the whole, oh man, she's not doing the victim thing here. She has not come out and said this isn't fair.
Right.
She's apologized.
Yeah.
But what I'm annoyed with is the people coming out and saying that she should not be suspended because of what she was dealing with. I don't care how dumb we think that the rule is. I just feel like, sorry, like we all make decisions. I mean, here's a tiny example. It's not the same. But I learned very quickly when I was in college, in high school, the teachers always try to scare you that no one's gonna remind you of things, no one's gonna help you, no one's gonna be this, and I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. There was some professors that were very understanding if you missed class or if you were late, but there was a few professors that the Kinder charm would not work on. Okay, no matter, I would try to crack jokes, I would try to relate to them, I'd try to say, you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. And hey, my car broke down on the way to class today. I'm really sorry. I'm getting an Uber to get to class. I promise I'll be there. I'm going to be late, but I'm going to be there. Well, you're second to present. If you're not present, you will get a failing grade. I got a failing grade. And that professor, there was no budging. I could have said, I'm on my way back from my funeral. I'm running a little late. I'm sorry. And I hated that professor when I was in school, but I actually learned a ton from that professor because it taught me very quickly that, oh yeah, the high school teachers that are friends with my parents that would always let me get away with stuff, those people don't exist. They don't exist in college. They don't exist in the real world. And I'm sorry, they don't exist here. Sometimes the rules are just the rules. And no matter what sympathetic outliers there are to why we made a certain decision, sometimes that doesn't change the result of the punishment that comes down for the decisions we make. And that's just unfortunate. Like I said, I'm a fan of hers. She got me to watch a sport that I don't really care about. I've never once said, man, I got to watch that. She makes me want to watch because she stands out. I mean, it's a big pan shot of a bunch of people, the starting block, and she just stands out. She just has a look to her. Big fan of hers. It's unfortunate, but I'm sorry. My sympathy stops at her mother passing away, and it doesn't go any further past that because after that, it's just like you made that decision knowing you're going to be tested. I'm sorry, but I don't feel bad about that part as far as I'm concerned.
Couple things from me. One, obviously, feel horrible for her losing her mom and everything like that. That's terrible news to get, especially a couple days before the biggest race of your life. You train so hard for something, and at a blink of an eye, a drop of a dime, things can be taken away from you. And yes, this is her fault because she did smoke marijuana. But from my aspect, I look at it as, so many people cope in different ways. Some people smoke marijuana, some people drink, some people eat, some people lift weights and everything like that. People have different coping mechanisms. And it just sucks that she has to learn this lesson a month before the Olympics, not even a month. The Olympics start in about 3 weeks. So her goals are right there to be reached. So it just sucks so bad for her. Another thing about it, and something that, she's a part of the Nike team, the Nike track team. So there's, members and past members of the Nike track family. Allison Felix used to be a member of the Nike track family. There's tons of Nike athletes on the Olympic team. And I'm sure there's people in her inner circle that knew she was smoking weed. And, I'm not trying to tell anybody like, oh, there's masking agents, but we all know there's masking agents that you can take and everything like that. So was that brought up? But more importantly, you got to know, and especially the people around her, because she is only like 20, 21 years old. Maybe she didn't know this, but the testing at the Olympics is next level. The testing at the Olympics tests for everything. Like, in some sports, they just test you for certain things. The Olympic testing is the quote unquote best model out there. They test you for every single thing that's in your body.
They come to you too. Yeah. And real quick, because I just heard this a little bit ago, it's very strict as well.
Yep.
And you have a set spot that they come to you to be tested. And if you leave town or you leave the country and you don't tell them, that's a strike. Like I don't know all the levels or whatever. Like you could be in violation for not even being there when they come for the test. Like like, so they tell you when it's time for we're going to show up at this address at this location. You have to be there. No matter, there is no, I'm on vacation that week. Can it be next week? No, it is. We are going to be there. We will be there at this time. You will not be late. So it's a very strict process. It's not like a little, here, pee in this and bring it out when you're done. I mean, it's very strict,
very in depth. And the other thing about it is the people in her inner circle and the managers and agents and everything like that, they have to make it abundantly clear. Maybe they did make it abundantly clear to her that, you know, when you're dealing with the Olympic Committee, just because the United States is so liberal, and there's several states in our union that are liberal with marijuana, like Denver and Oregon and Nevada and places like that, that it's legal to smoke weed and everything like that. It may be legal in that state, but it's not legal in every state in the union. And also, it's not legal to have that in your system when you're preparing for a race or after a race or during a race. You know what I'm saying? So those type of things, people just have to keep in mind. Like, everywhere ain't liberal. The second part or the third part I wanted to touch on was like the rules are the rules. I've been hearing that a lot lately about the rules being rules. Yes, I do believe, obviously, there's law and order. There's rules that everybody should follow. But I'm not a person that believes like, all right, the rules are the rules and that's it forever. There are situations where, you know, the boundaries of rules have been changed because people have realized, hey, man, that's pretty stupid. I'm not saying that, hey, man, people should be allowed to be smoking weed and smoking blunts left and right. But I do believe there will be a day, just like it's a day now in the NFL and the NBA, where they stop testing for marijuana because they realize, like, all right, it's quote unquote just weed. But in this case, I can't remember, the IOC, I believe it is, they haven't gotten to that point. And to be clear, I don't think they'll ever get to that point because every place isn't liberal like the United States is. Like, you got to think they're part of unions across so many continents, so many different countries come together because the United States thinks one way. Other countries aren't going to think that way, just despite the United States. So this is bigger than Sha'Carri Richardson. This is a learning lesson for all athletes out there, young and old. Like, when you're in the Olympics, you have to realize, like, you're not just doing this in the United States. This is a world thing. The United States is a very liberal place where you're allowed to have a lot of freedoms and things change almost like overnight. But in other countries, it takes years. It takes decades. They're still fighting wars over religion in other countries. You got to think like that. You have to think like big world type of things when you're dealing with the Olympics. I know it's all about like, oh man, I'm swimming, I'm running, I'm just trying to compete in my sport. No, when you're dealing with the Olympics, it's much bigger than just the sport you're playing. I feel horrible for her. This is a learning lesson for her. And when she goes to the Olympics in 2024 in Paris, she's going to run under 10.
How old is she?
She's only 21. She's going to run under 10. She's going to run that 100.
Don't get offended by this question, but why do you feel horrible for her?
Oh no, because her mom, like,
okay.
It's like a,
so it's like what I said. I said my sympathy stopped at that. Okay,
her mom. This happens. It's just a domino effect. Yeah, she was in the wrong, but I think fair enough.
I'm sorry.
I feel bad for somebody that does something wrong and then still feel bad for him. Like, I still, you know, what's old buddy used to be the wide receiver, Gordon. I feel bad for him. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he constantly gets kicked in and out of the league. Like, yeah, he's messing up, but yeah, I still feel bad for him. Like, man, it's
that's another example. They like, I'm cutting you off.
Yeah, no, like with Josh Gordon, I mean, obviously he has an addiction problem. So I know people look at it as weed and like, oh man, he's addicted to weed. What's wrong with him? But like, if somebody had an addiction to pain pills, people will feel totally different. You know what I'm saying? I believe that an addiction is an addiction, just like people have food addictions, you know, drug addictions, alcohol addictions. Like, I feel sympathy for people.
No, I'm with you on that. But sometimes, I mean, there are things, I mean, like the chance to participate in the Olympics, that's a privilege.
No doubt about it.
So that's why when I say, like, for instance, if I lost a family member and I go to the bar and I'm really depressed and I'm drinking and I decide to drive home that night.
Absolutely.
I can crack the mic the next day and said, guys, I got a DUI last night, or God forbid I get in a wreck on the way back and I ruin someone else's life or take someone else's life because of that. I'm not allowed to just say, well, guys, I'm sorry, my mother passed away and that's how I was coping. Who cares who I hurt in the process? Stop judging me. Like, that's where I'm always like, okay, sometimes we just got to be adults and just say, yes, we all have something going on in our lives, but that doesn't excuse you from the repercussions that come with the decisions you make during that. That's why it's so important to, when you know your friends are going through something, to be there for them, because not only are you being there for them, you could protect them from doing something harmful. It's not always, that they're going to take their life or something. It's that they might make a decision that could impact their life or someone else's moving forward. So this isn't an after school special or anything like that, but my point
very
is
special episode.
But my whole point about this is that, like, all I'm saying is I sympathize with her for going through of dealing with the passing of her mother. But what I don't sympathize with is, even in those hard times, the decisions you make during those times, you still are in a position to be punished for them if you make wrong decisions. She made the wrong one. And by the way, people keep turning in this too about smoking. Should you be able to smoke weed or not? Like, I was watching The Herd earlier, and Joy Taylor, God bless her. I mean, my goodness, she sat there the whole time. I said, well, it doesn't matter. It's legal in most states. Lady, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's legal in every state. If they tell you you can't, if you test positive, you're suspended. I don't care if it's legal in every single state. The rule is the rule. Like, that's why I've just been so fired up this week about that. And it's like, it's driving me crazy, because I'm like, I know that rules are dumb. I think you should smoke weed. I don't care. That's my, I said that yesterday. Smoke weed all you want. But if there's a job I want, like, for instance, I don't even care. I'm doing some work with the ESPN on the side. I have to pee in a cup next week to be able to do that. Okay. So with that being said, let's say, Kenner did something he shouldn't have. Or let's say that, whatever.
4th of July.
Yeah, 4th of July. Right. So with that being said, let's say that I fail that drug test and I'm going through something. I can't call ESPN and be like, guys, you got to understand. I just lost my grandma. I just lost my best friend. There's real life, like, we as regular people run into these real life situations all the time, where we as regular people are expected to deal with everyday happenings like this, and also deal with the consequences. So I guess where I'm coming at is sometimes where I'm not as sympathetic towards these athletes and I guess famous people, if that's what you want to call it, celebrities, is because they are in they live in a world where they should just kind of know more even than us, as far as, like, all eyes are on you. Right. You're more's at stake for you.
And to her credit, on her interview on today,
and she's
taking credit. Well, not credit for it. She's taking responsibility for it. So it's other athletes speaking out for her and everything like that. It's a tough situation, and thank goodness she's only 21 years old. She'll be able to qualify for the 2024 Olympics, which I was like, 2024 Olympics only comes around every 4 years. They're having it in 3 years because of the COVID situation of this year. So Paris, watch out. I'm predicting she runs under 10 in that 100 meters in the Olympics of 2024.
And to be clear, like, you're right. She's not made any excuses at all, period. Like, she just said, I'm sorry for doing what I did. She did explain why she did what she did, and okay, cool. It's it's mainly the reaction from fans and others who are like, it's a stupid rule. She shouldn't be suspended. It's a rule, though, and it's not going to change. So that's where I'm at. And then I had someone on Twitter come at me today and say, the problem is that Michael Phelps did the same thing and got away with it. Those situations aren't even close to being the same. For instance, the drug testing that she's a part of is to advance, to get to the Olympics or whatever. He never failed a test. In fact, what he got in trouble for, he did get suspended. It was a picture that started making its rounds. When that picture started making its rounds, he actually lost a ton. He lost, again, he's a millionaire. He's fine, but he lost millions in endorsements, I believe. Yeah, like with Kellogg. I think Kellogg was one of his big sponsors that dropped out, and he was suspended. But again, he was suspended after the Olympics, so he wasn't able to participate in some of the other trials and everything like that. So it just wasn't on. Had Michael Phelps tested positive before, that would have been just as big a news as this. So no, I don't compare the situations at all. I mean, Phelps' situation happened after. So there's that. But it is what it is. So there we go. I'm Justin Kinner. He's Kev Nash. Show's presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Ran Go Blue on YouTube. He says, ask Christian. Yeah, he's the one. Yeah, he's the one, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Help me out, Ran Go Blue. I don't know your real name, but that's your YouTube name. Ran Go Blue. Help me. Isn't he the one that left the country without letting them know? I think he's the one he left the country without letting Christian Coleman. Look him up. He's suspended currently, if I'm not. But yeah, there was some violations that he was a part of as well. Lamar Shelley says, "Is it an American suspension, or was she suspended by the Olympic Committee? Do you know that
committee
by the Olympic Committee?
Yeah, you have to be clean. You got to be all the way clean. Like, so you get tested after your trials, after you qualify and everything like that. Then you get tested when you get to the Olympic site, and after every race, you get tested as well.
Yeah. And by the way, like it's
what again?
Coleman. By the way, it's common to be drug tested for jobs still, correct? I mean, put jokes aside, but I mean, ESPN gets ripped all the time for, I mean, they're the liberal hotbed, right? Like, and they're still doing drug tests. So, you know what I mean? Like with your points earlier about like, not other countries are as liberal as America.
Right.
But I mean, we all know, I mean, ESPN's the liberal hotbed, right? Like that's what they get ripped for all the time. And they're still doing drug tests. So that's all I'm saying. I mean, we act like we're ripping the repercussions to this, but we in our regular people lives, we have to do drug tests to get jobs. And guess what? If you fail that drug test, you ain't getting that job as far as that goes. Now, I have been in favor of saying, like Josh Gordon, does the perception of Josh Gordon change? Now, the NFL doesn't test for weed anymore.
Right.
If Josh Gordon, if his career would have started, if he would have been born 10 years later and career started 10 years later, he might have lucked out and I had to play. Actually, he would have played for a much better Browns team. So there's that. But the scary thing is like we keep saying he has an addiction problem to weed, but if we're not if we're not testing for weed, does he have an addiction problem to weed? The only reason we think he has a problem is because what he has is the inability to be able to stop, which I guess that's an addiction. I'm an idiot. I'm a moron. How about that? That was a really dumb comment. I mean, I'll even call myself an idiot for that. But like, you know what I'm saying? If you don't test for weed, there could be players now who smoke every single day.
Right.
And because they don't get tested, we're not sitting there looking at them differently. We only look at Josh Gordon differently because he couldn't put the damn thing down and he kept failing the test over and over. So how is that? You know what I'm saying? Like that's the perception. The perception of him is going to be impacted because he kept failing the drug test. But there's probably players now that smoke just as much as him, but they don't get tested. So so we don't judge them. We don't think anything of it. My thing is this: we're all allowed to drink, right?
Right.
And if we show up to work drunk, you get fired. If you drive home and you're drunk, you get a DUI, you get arrested, you do whatever. That's right. Let them smoke. Let people smoke. If they smoke and they show up to work high, you get fired. If you're driving impaired, you get a D or you get whatever it is you get. I just don't get it. I think we're making I agree. The rule's stupid. Why are we still drug tested? I mean, you got to test for the other stuff like the performance enhancers and everything.
Right.
But if anything, smoking makes you run slower, right? I'm assuming, right? Like I'm just saying, like I've heard, right?
Not for her.
Talking myself into a prison. I'll be out here in a moment. As Jake Whiting says, stay off the weed. And there you go. Brian McCoy, shout out to him. He says, very cool that you guys interact with your listeners like you guys do. Not sure of any other sports talk radio show that does that. Shout out to you too. Great show today. Thanks for that, Brian. We appreciate it. With the phone issues we have, we used to be a very caller-centric show at that. And with the phone issues now, we do pretty much all of our interaction through Facebook and YouTube. So I appreciate that you noticed those things, and we try to do our best to do that. I do. Speaking of that, what you got?
This is stupid. This is stupid. So I'm reading more about.
Here we go. I'm just joking.
This is stupid.
Is it about Christian Coleman?
No, this is about Sha'Carri Richardson. While Richardson will remain ineligible for the Olympics 100-meter dash for her 30-day suspension that ends on July 27th. Dang, like the Olympics ends a couple days away. She could be eligible for the 4x100 scheduled for August 5th.
But you have to qualify for that, though. So she may not, if you can't run in the prelims.
But she's still on the Olympic team. So once the U.S. qualifies, if they qualify for the 4x100,
okay,
they can pick anybody to run. So if they qualify, she can still run in the 4x100.
Okay.
Which is, I get it because it's a 30-day.
So she won't need to run that then.
Yeah. I mean, she can still run in the 4x100, but since it's a 30-day suspension as opposed to hey man, you're suspended for the entire Olympics or whatever, it falls in the window where she could still participate in the Olympics. It's weird. Just because her race falls at a certain date as opposed to after the 30-day suspension.
Yeah, and by the way, this suspension too was retro, it wasn't the date of the results that came in. They even tried to nudge it a little. They even moved it back to the date that she took the drug test versus the day that versus the day that the results came back. So they tried to be a little,
Yeah, that was United States trying to work their magic.
So, all right, we'll be back in a moment. We'll have that interview with Brian Roberts, former Dayton Flyer, coming up here in hour number 3. So good stuff there. We got a lot coming your way here in hour number 3. Don't go anywhere. Heading into the 4th of July weekend. Hope everyone has some fun plans lined up. So there you go. Stay off the weed though. That's Jake Whiting right there. He's like,
yeah, Kenner got that interview with ESPN coming up.
I'm telling you right now. Yeah, that was I'm so cool type of drop right there. So you'll find out the result of those tests too.
If he's here on Tuesday, things didn't go his way.
No, it ain't till middle of next week.
Oh, so, you got plenty of time.
Yeah, lots of water. What?
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
Power your passions for less during Dell's exceptional Black Friday in July event. Enjoy up to $400 off high-performance Dell XPS laptops and desktops, along with next-level Alienware systems, all powered by Intel Core processors. Shop special prices on stunning Dell monitors, top brand electronics and accessories, plus enjoy free shipping on everything. Don't forget to ask for Intel when you call 800-BY-DELL. That's 800-BY-DELL.
You'll never believe it. I mean, I hardly could. Kohl's has epic deals right now, and they're going to make for an